On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. We have got crazy people, folks. AOC is just comical. Comical, in fact. I think that's what the C stands for. It's not Cortez, but it's comical. This chick's got comedy genius written all over her oddly stupid face. So, we're going to talk about that some. We've also got some things to talk about. With the world got an interesting little spin on a story. I'm drawing a blank on what the hell one it is. We'll get we'll get there when we get there. We got a lot to talk about with elections. Primaries have started, at least in one location, possibly two. I don't know if North Carolina's having one, but Texas certainly is. That I know for factola. So we got a lot to talk about. Let's get the ball rolling. Some crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Very crazy, actually. So we had a tour guide company that was involved in setting up some cabins and some cross-country skiing, and there was a horrific avalanche on yesterday, and has covered 15 people were hit anyways. We think 6 have survived, and there are 9 still unaccounted for. Pretty serious situation. There was an expert that was talking about the snow in advance. He was talking about how it was so loosely packed and all this stuff right here. And he says this is definitely like going to make for an avalanche. So unfortunately, the avalanche warning continued into today. They were not able to get a lot of equipment or people in there. In like a helicopter, people were like, well, just bring a helicopter. That almost assuredly cause avalanches. So they've got to kind of come at this carefully. They were using those cats and some I think the snowplow, not snowplows, but the little bike things that you can ride on the snow. I think they were using some of those too. I forget what those are called for some reason at the moment. But yeah. Oddly though, again, we got avalanche happening on this Lake Tahoe area, which I guess I failed. It's up by the Truckee side, and they were kind of off in a weird area. So that's strange. But then down in Texas right now, Texas, Oklahoma area, we've got freaking we got wildfires going on. Like, what the hell?
Hot, very hot.
That's a horrific fire. And again, I don't know. I'm sure high winds played a part in starting it. But one thing, again, that's really, really weird about fires, and I've had the privilege of experiencing a few reasonably close, is they create major wind. Wherever they're at, when they're big enough, they suck in air, and they create an amazing amount of wind. So they are self-feeding in that regard, too, once they get going. But, yeah, a lot of times they are started from the wind, certainly out here. We got our Santa Ana winds, which are winds that blow from the desert offshore. And, man, they dry stuff out really, really badly when they happen. And they do happen all over the year. I've heard people say, it might be unseasonable. I mean, back in the day, it did seem like they typically only happen in certain times of the year. But we've had them year-round. Very strange. A man armed with a shotgun charged the Capitol. This was Tuesday as well. Crazy day on Tuesday. So Washington, D.C. area, man parks a Mercedes sport utility vehicle and just abruptly starts running towards the Capitol with a shotgun in his hand. Because that makes lots of sense, right? You'd do it, I'd do it, we all do it. I mean, right? First off, I know I wouldn't do it because he parked really far away. It was like a 300-yard sprint this dude's doing. I'm like, bro, you're going to do 300 yards before you try to fight off the demons? I mean, that's you're gonna walk in pretty tired, buddy. I hope you're in good shape. Nonetheless, he did. Now, this is, I guess, the weird part. I don't know if the video's worth playing, but Capitol Police just released photos from the arrest of the man who allegedly rushed the U.S. Capitol building. So this man, he was wearing a tactical vest. He had been identified as 18-year-old Carter Camacho. Carter Camacho. Interesting last name. He was from Georgia. Police say he also had a gas mask and Kevlar helmet inside the Mercedes, which was parked nearby. That's not very nice. Not very good, is it? Now, something that I cannot wrap my head around at all. Why this would be released unless it doesn't matter. I can't understand why this information was released unless it doesn't matter. Somebody paid attention to this security camera footage, and you can see this here. And this is supposedly the investigators are the ones that realized this and then said something, I guess. But if you pay close attention, apparently it looks like there's a pinky ring. So this is being released as evidence that the person we're looking for, they're going to have a pinky ring. But can't you just take that off now that you've told the people that I'm looking for an individual with a pinky ring and probably some nitrile gloves in their house? Like, why? Because if you didn't say anything, they'd probably still be wearing the stupid ring, when you finally get around to finding them. They answer the door and they're like, hi, how are you? And you're like, you have a beautiful pinky ring. That is really nice. Thank you. I like it too. I keep it clean with nitrile gloves. Crazy people, folks. I'm telling you, they're all over. Democrats are planning counter-programming during the Trump State of the Union. They're literally going to try to do a TPUSA kind of thing for the halftime show. They're going to make an attempt to have something out on the Capitol steps or something stupid, and they're hoping to get attention. Now, I'm sure a few news organizations that are worthless will probably be there, but most people are going to watch Trump's speech. Even people that don't like Trump are going to watch Trump's speech just because they enjoy being pissed off, and it'll feed that for them. But they're going to try to put on a separate halftime show. Oh, it's going to be great because nobody's going to watch it. You guys know this. Every time anyone on the Democrat side tries to do anything, it's total crickets. And, with them not inside being disruptive, it'll be nicer in the big picture for everybody trying to watch at home. Apparently, Air Force One is going to scrap that iconic Tiffany blue that Air Force One is currently painted. I'm amazed I remembered that. Holy crap. And they're going to replace it with the red, white, and blue design that basically I think Trump's planes currently look like, which is interesting. I hope they're a little different, but I think that same general color scheme. He likes that darker blue, which matches our flag. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Needless to say, yes. And then gold lettering. So the United States of America likely, instead of being white, will be gold, which is like the fringe on the flags. So that kind of fits too. So red, white, blue, and gold. Of course, Trump adding his touch. This is, of course, pissing all sorts of people off, trying to make a big deal about it. But honestly, and again, it was Kennedy that painted it Tiffany blue to begin with, or that color came from, and they thusly changed the color of the plane. But it doesn't really match the United States. It's regal, I'll give you that, but we're at a new time in history where it's all about looking like the United States, not regality. We're regal just by the nature of the fact that that's the United States coming in. Look at that beautiful plane. So it's cool that Trump's doing that. I like it. Obviously, not everybody feels that same way. So how relaxed COVID-era rules fueled Minnesota's biggest scam. Man, this is a long article. I don't want to get into all of it. There's just constant money. This goes back to really March 20. It goes back further than 2020. It actually goes back to 2011. There was an original fraud scandal tied with the Child Care Assistance Program. It was a federal program meant to help low-income families with children. There have been allegations of fraud reported with CCAP since 2011. By 2014 and 2015, there were raids, charges, and convictions of child care providers for billing non-existent or absent children, often exceeding $1 million fraud in a single case. So Minnesota's just continued to get worse, but one of the funny things is Ilhan Omar, one of the first things she did when she got into Congress. It's called the Meals Act, and this was in 2020, March. What eventually became, and that was COVID, right? Which eventually became part of a larger COVID relief package. That law allowed states to waive the normal eligibility requirements for the National School Lunch Program. It eliminated income requirements and site inspections and expanded distribution methods. This opened the door for Feeding Our Future, which became the largest COVID fraud scandal in state and national history thus far. They stole at least $250 million from taxpayers. They've been doing this forever in Minnesota, sure, certainly, but likely elsewhere too. But we've been seeing, again, Waltz and everything that's been happening. So I think a lot is going to continue to come out. I think other states are probably worse. California certainly pops into mind for some reason. New York likely as well. Speaking of which, Mom Donnie is planning a New York City property tax hike. Hasn't happened in decades. It's going to happen now. They're trying to fill a gap, a budget gap. And this actually will create way, way, way more than the budget gap, oddly, from at least what I recall reading in the story. They're expecting this assessed value jump by 5.6% should bring an additional $325.8 billion of revenue in. $325.8 billion of revenue. They've got a $5 billion budget gap. I don't know about you, but this kind of doesn't make sense to me. Got a $5 billion budget gap, so I got an idea. Let's take $325 billion from them to make sure we got enough for that $5 billion. That's way, way more than, right? Way, way more than. That's like, what, 61 times the amount of money you need? Doing some rough math there. So this is going to, run people off to landlords because they're going to raise the rents. So this is going to make their affordability crisis worse. He's then going to raise minimum wage. This is coming, which will then make the affordability crisis even worse. The affordability crisis is going to go through the roof in New York. And most anybody that can will leave. Those that can't will be stuck there. And they'll be the ones that are probably, for a large extent, getting handouts. Mom Donnie's bringing back homeless encampment sweeps, turning on campaign promise. He said he wasn't going to do that. Now he's doing a refined version of it. Now it's a group outside of himself, and they're kind of getting complaints like crazy. There was over 3,300 complaints in this one particular encampment that's happening. Oh, around the 5 boroughs, yeah. So it is, craziness. And so, they got to do something about it. Mom Donnie said he wouldn't, and he is. He's a liar, big fat liar. Texas early voting kicks off as America's first AG Paxton seeks to oust Rhino Senator Cornyn. Texans, I need you guys to get out and vote in this primary if you can. Right? If you guys are registered in the Republican Party, get out and vote in that. I assume you guys don't have open primaries. But get out there and vote in that. Vote for who you need to. This is kind of important at this point. You do not want to lose the opportunity to push Cornyn out. This primary election might be more important than the election we actually have in November. So please, Texans, either early or on time or whatever, but make sure you get out there and vote. February 17th through the 27th is the early voting. This is, I guess, March 3rd is the actual primary election. However you want to do it, I don't care. Just get your vote in and make sure you cast it towards the right people. I wasted a god-awful amount of time yesterday reading North Carolina and Texas's people. Please get out and vote for your guys' people. There's a lot of people we need to get rid of. There are people that are being primaried that Trump is supporting. We need to go with those guys if we can. It's your choice, it's your vote, of course. But I think Trump is trying to lead us to the proper place, and hopefully we can get there. So please get out and do that. Stephen Colbert trashes CBS response on polled Tallarico interview. I don't even know what to do with this crap. Now, what's funny about this story to me is I don't really care about the actual story. The story brings up a larger story, which is, I think, the important part. So we're going to talk about the stupid story and the larger story. So what happened is they wanted to have this James Tallarico guy. He's a Senate candidate in Texas, Democrat candidate in Texas. They wanted to give him airplay on this CBS show, Stephen Colbert's Stupid Show, right? Well, basically, the FCC said, look, here's the thing. You do it, you got to give equal time. And that means you got to give time to either A, the Senate candidate, Cornyn, or whoever's going against Cornyn, I think A.G. Paxton. You have to give him equal time. And so CBS basically said, look, we don't want to air this because we don't want to give the equal time. What this did is two things. One, it doesn't allow the Democrats to cheat and use the airwaves to propagandize because now they have to give equal time. That's actually being held. It's a long-standing FCC rule. It only applies to broadcast stations, too, stations that actually broadcast over the airwaves. Example, CBS's network, the network part of it, like the cable part of it, they're not broadcasting over airwaves, but they syndicate to local affiliates in many cities around the nation. They do broadcast over the airwaves. They must follow FCC rules. Now, many of them, it would be a major pain and it would take a lot of time to get off of that and just start streaming only. So they'll probably eventually try to do that to get around the FCC nonsense, but I don't think I think it'll be too late. So that's the larger story. They're forcing equal time, which means they can't just propagandize one side of the fence anymore. In fact, if they try to propagandize one of their candidates, we get to choose our candidate and they get equal time. Otherwise, they lose their FCC license, period. And that means they can't broadcast on those affiliates, which would suddenly mean their show would go dark amongst millions of users across the nation. Well, thousands of users, because they can't even garner that big a show. And I did think about it. I'm like, man, I'd actually take that. That'd be fun. I don't know if I'm the right guy for it, of course, obviously. But if I had writers and producers and all that stuff, man, I'm like, I'd do that. That'd be fun as hell. A show like that. All said, man, we'll see what happens. I'm an old man at this point in time. When I was younger. This is fun. So this is Chuck Schumer. You might not recognize me as hair. And this was many, many, many eons ago, 1996. Back when hair was cool. And Chuck Schumer is got some things to say that just didn't age well.
Let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others from coming here? And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud.
Now, the funniest part, because I used to know a lot of these people in strawberry fields and stuff where I grew up, a lot of the people that came in, if they did vote at all, voted conservative because of their Catholic upbringing. By the way, happy Ash Wednesday. I forgot to say that. Happy Ash Wednesday to those that participate in the experience. That said, so we are, they had to convert that. So at first, they were against letting these people accidentally vote because likely they're going to vote Republican. Now, over years and a lot of what's happened and the mass migration and changing things and giving money, and the Democrats are the ones that do that, well, it became a very, very different situation, didn't it? So over basically a generation, we've seen that entire thing shifted. So now it's Jim Crow 2.0 to ask for a driver's license, even though to get a job, you need one, or to collect your benefits, you supposedly need one. Strange how that works, huh? Again, more election weird stuff here. The Skiff posted this. I wanted to play these videos, but I think we're going to go way too long if I do. And I just realized I didn't pop a commercial in, so we'll do that after this break here. All that said, in 2020 elections, states using Dominion voting machines allegedly switched 435,000 votes from Trump to Biden and deleted 2.7 million Trump votes, including 1 million in Pennsylvania alone. Those are nationwide numbers. Examinations showed Dominion and ES&S machines wirelessly connected to the internet via Telit 3G, 4G modems with ties to China and the CCP. The mainstream media, Dominion, ES&S, and many Democrats lied about voting machines having no internet access. ES&S uses over 14,000 modems across the country alone, with 35 still found transmitting signals in 11 states after the election. These machines are compromised and were designed to steal elections, not have fair ones. This is all coming true. This is all coming to the surface. This is going to be what leads into, the SAVE Act is hopefully going to pass. It looks like it might. But hopefully this is going to lead to a lot of things. I think I might have the post. Maybe not. I might not have saved it. But this is going to lead us to evolving the thought of the normie across this great nation, that there was, in fact, a lot of shenanigans. In fact, so many so that it changed the outcome of the election. And this is why Tulsi Gabbard is involved, foreign nations were involved in stealing the election. China, CCP in particular. That is a war crime. That is an act of war. Some would argue, and likely true, it's the same thing as using a nuke or mustard gas, chemical weapons, or any of that kind of stuff. It's a weapon of mass destruction. And that's exactly what it did. More crazy crap coming out. 38,000 ballots arrived at 3:45 a.m. after Election Day in Michigan during the 2020 election. Over 100% voter turnout. 40,000 voters registered to vote 2 days before the election. Over 100,000 votes mismatched in poll books. None of the names on processed ballots were found in the regular electronic poll books. 17,327 dead people voted, verified with Michigan online obituaries. Poll challengers were not allowed to continue legal duties. Ballots with no attached names. Ballots with impossible details, like a person born in 1921 but supposedly registered to vote in 1900, 21 years before they were born, for those that struggle with math. Ballots observed being backdated from November 4th to November 2nd, with poll workers entering data, including fake dates. As much as 120% voter turnout. Clear voter fraud. I feel like this is Michigan, not across across everywhere. So I think that, it's Michigan specifically, I believe. So John Solomon, I think he's the one that says some crazy stuff. It sounds like, well, we'll let him speak and then we'll talk.
Now we have a bunch of lazy senators who want to threaten the filibuster and not get off their feet and talk and really represent the people and stand for what they believe in. And all the American people are asking John Thune to do is to restore the Senate to the way it used to work before Mitch McConnell's lazy filibuster ideas kind of came into play. And I think that the American people are going to be there. Here's what I think is going to happen, Dan. And I think you probably know some of this because you had a foresight into some of the things that the Bureau now knows that was kept from the American public. I think Donald Trump is going to change the narrative in America. I think he's going to change some senators' minds, and he's going to do it by revealing some of the things that Chris Wray and that Chris Krebs and other major officials who were in charge of the integrity of our elections and who told us it was a perfect election in 2020. He's going to start revealing some of the intelligence that was kept from the American people. And we're going to see that our foreign adversaries have monkeyed with our system more than we knew, more than those driver's licenses coming into Chicago that you helped get all of us to understand about a few months ago, about China sending fake driver's licenses to help Joe Biden in. There are going to be significant efforts by foreign powers, some friends, some enemies, that were trying to meddle in the system, and they got pretty far down that path. And I think when senators realized their state could have been targeted, when senators realized that the intention of the identities of some of their voters might have been assumed, I think there's going to be a different debate in America. And I think if the president takes the time to educate people and show them that maybe the stories we got from the last leadership weren't true, I think he's going to pick off the votes. And then the American people are going to put some pressure on John Thune, and they're going to surgically implant a stiff back, and he's going to change that filibuster for this particular thing, make it a standing filibuster, make the Democrats talk till they drop, and then we'll get a vote in the summer. But I think there's some big, significant, and very troubling revelations about the vulnerabilities of our elections that the president is about to unveil on the American public.
And not sure if I made the point properly or not, but Tulsi Gabbard being involved because other countries. This is larger than just stealing local elections from local people. No. This is much, much larger, especially when they look at money and everything else. It's not so much that the case is being made right now, and this is what I think a lot of people may not fully grasp. They're not necessarily out to arrest. They're going to arrest enough people, I think, to make it stick, and the people they can arrest, that they have enough time to get that done. But what this is meant to prove is that we definitely got messed with by other countries. We definitely have proof that a significant number of records were changed, deleted, created, it's already forgotten. Update or delete was the other ones. Read is the third. There you go. But yeah, either update, delete, or created records. And there was millions of records, enough to actually affect the outcome of the election. That is enough to do a national emergency. No judge can touch it. And that is how it must be. States are going to freak, and it's only going to be the states that have cheated the hardest. We'll see some red states on there. Places where people like Lindsey Graham maybe have won elections, though they shouldn't, or maybe he's doing all right. Kentucky, for sure. Kentucky, we need to replace everybody over there. So keep these things in mind, guys. We are heading through a tough period, and that is for sure. Feeling great. It's funny. This morning, it's like I kind of felt off, and I'm making some interesting connections and specific things in my diet that are impacting me in a very weird way. Like bad energy in the morning is what I've noticed. It's actually when I drink White Claws. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I drink White Claws, it actually sucks the life out of me. I find myself when I wake up, I have no energy. I'm lethargic. The gym is extremely hard for me to do. And so I'm like, oh, okay, that's good because, all alcohol has some sort of drawback in my body. So it's like choose your poison if you're going to poison at all. But for me, I wasn't feeling great this morning. So one thing I did for sure is before I went and worked out, I did one of my packets, my Unimate, my Unicity. I love this. Unicity is, this Unimate is delicious. Again, it tastes like just iced tea with lemon. We got these little bottles you can buy. I mean, they're cheap, but they work really well because they've got the measurements, right? So I use that bottle, and I got the hand mixer because it makes it super easy. It's just fantastic. All right, cool. Rinse it off. Drink, guzzle. And within like seconds, you start to feel the energy start to kick in a little bit. Now, again, it's got some other chemicals that help you fast a little longer, and so you take 2 packets of this a day. So I got back from working out, had a good workout, considering. Got home, did another one of these packets before I started recording because I know it gives a little bit of boost. And again, it helps with the fact that I haven't eaten yet today, and I don't really want to. I'm going to eat later. I already got a nice meal planned, and it's going to be great. So this is one of those products. And then Balance, I'll drink that right before I eat, and it helps kind of coat your stomach, covers some of your foods that you eat, and it actually helps the way you process. Get fewer carbs processed, which actually lowers blood sugar. This has to do with the fact that most of us, 94% of us, are insulin resistant. Right there. And it causes a whole slew of problems. We've been sharing videos recently with Health Secretary Kennedy talking about how we've got these ultra-processed foods. Just not just processed anymore. It's ultra-processed. And these foods don't behave properly in our bodies. They do really messed up things. Really messed up things. Under the guise of no calories or whatever, right? Minimal amounts of sodium, though it's got some other form of sodium in it. Or even the chemistry of it is insane. They were talking about how there's 400 chemicals in Europe that are allowed in foods. We have thousands. We don't even know how many. They know it's thousands. Crazy chemicals. This is helping undo the damage that they've been doing to us. I've had a lot of people reach out and talk about how the experience of this has been. Marion's one. I love this stuff. My digestion is so much better, and I am not having hot flashes. An extra help that's happening. LB, put this one out. 10 pounds down. Faster still. This is back in January, by the way. Faster, 18 to 20 hours. Balanced protein, fiber, fat, and decreased sugar. I love the ginger lemon and the lemon teas. The lemon tea is the one I always talk about. I haven't tried the ginger lemon. I think I ordered it. It should be here soon. The orange balance is very flavorful. Agree with that. And I did order the berry. That's the other flavor. And I'm going to try that. I'll let you guys know. But the orange is good. It tastes good. Charlene, that was her first one. We got a couple. There she is, the newest one. The newest one, she said, my primary doctor today. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I just made a video to post about it, but I haven't posted it yet. I did Nana's news. So Nana, there's your plug. I wanted to email you with the results. You guys go to Nana's Little Corner, by the way, is her channel on Rumble. I wanted to email you with the results. I've lost 13 pounds since I started the protocol November 15th. It was a different doctor that had ordered my blood work and the A1C at 10.5, so my primary didn't know about the one until I told him. Said my doctor was really happy with the numbers from the blood work. He took me off the cholesterol meds. He cut one of my diabetes medications back half the dosage. He was also concerned about my blood pressure dropping too low because it was 120/60 in his office this morning. But instead of changing that medication he told me to monitor it and let him know if it drops further. They do want to she wanted to get rechecked on the A1C, but they can't do it. I think quarterly is the most they can do it because of the benefits. So she's going to do that. We're going to get news from it when that comes. This is changing people's lives already. And this is my people. All the stuff I just shared is my people. This is you guys. This is nobody else. I mean, this one down here, Claudia that I play, she is, and I played John. It's really good. I will play John. we've done enough. Go to otfspecial.com. That's otfspecial.com. Let me pull it up here. Feel great. There you are. otfspecial.com. Just get in there, get the pack, get it going. You'll be amazed how you feel. You'll feel great. And you'll also start to see the differences too. If you're a little bit overweight, this is a great idea. If you're definitely overweight, highly recommend it. And if you are any of the diabetic spectrum, be it pre, post, anything in between, you don't have to do anything different. Just start this program, eat normal, no fancy diets. Just, you will start to gravitate in the right direction, unquestionably. Your numbers will get better. Your sugar numbers, especially those that monitor, you'll notice it. You'll see it. In fact, there'll be times where you're like, wow, it's almost like it's dropped too low. It's incredible. People are raving about it. It's one of the greatest products I've had the privilege of being involved with. OTFspecial.com. OTFspecial.com. Do that healthy move. You're going to be, oh my God, you're going to be amazed. You're going to be amazed at the differences that start to happen in your life. LA County supervisors want ice-free zones, which is probably not going to happen, but we get crazy stuff. This Katie Zachariah, I guess she's replacing, who's the one she's replacing? McCall or something like that? But there it is, Tricia McLaughlin's departure. Not 100% sure all of what's up in there, but that said, this is the replacement, and dang, she's fired, man. I love this chick. Check it out. Where'd it go? Donde está? Oh, it did come up. I'm just special.
And this is what they get, Katie.
And they stand also, as Bill Asaley said, they stand in violation of the Supremacy Clause, and they will lose on this. The Supremacy Clause says there is a supreme law of the land, and that immigration falls under that trace, and so they're not going to be able to enforce this. But more importantly, the widespread pattern of this has to do with sanctuary cities thinking they're above the law. And LA County, Mayor Bass, and all of these supervisors think they're above the law. They are not. The federal law applies to them, and they stand in violation. And President Trump said today, all of these states that have sanctuary jurisdictions are on notice. Federal funding will be revoked, and they should do that for LA City right off the bat.
And I'm guessing that this lady is being brought in because she is an expert in this line of work and has probably worked for Trump for a long time. So I don't think, not everybody that Trump's let go, he doesn't necessarily move them from a position because he's unhappy with them. Sometimes there's a phase of the like growth of companies, or when you're trying to conservatize, or when you're trying to move into a certain direction, you might actually hire someone that's very gifted in a particular direction so you can accomplish it. And then you'll absorb the person in somewhere else. You'll give them a good title, whatever. You'll take care of them. It's like, you've done a great job. We need a certain set of skills that you just don't have. And it's cool. You've got awesome skills. I love your skills. We're going to use them over here. We're going to take care of you. But we're going to put this person over here in the job that's just like, gangbuster on such and such, right? So that is a big part of how that plays out. Some states preventing schools from leading anti-ICE walkout protests. There's two in particular, Texas and Florida. Anyone surprised? Nope. So they're like, look, you let kids do this. If you sponsor that kind of activity, you ain't getting paid for the day. And that's funding for schools is a big deal. A lot of superintendents are not going to take a no day of pay for people just so they can go out and protest. No. So that's cool. Finally, some people doing the right thing. Now, interestingly, in Oklahoma, Mustang High School, Superintendent Dr. Charles Bradley, he suspends 122 students for truancy after they walked out of class in protest to ICE enforcement raids. 122 students for truancy. That reminds me of like the Little Rascals. You guys remember that? There's always truancy officers and stuff. That's something I never had to deal with in my life. Never seen a truancy officer ever. But then again, I was like a dork in school, so whatever. Maybe I wasn't hanging out in the places where cops would show up. Dan Bongino had Kash Patel on there promising something on the funding of a lot of these crazy Antifa terrorists coming up in the next couple months. Now, the timing is for a reason. Just please understand that timings are very precise. They're going to be baked around the elections, executive orders, and things that are going to happen. There is going to be an onslaught. It's kind of like for any of you guys that follow American football. It's the concept of a blitz, right? You have a couple extra people or whatever come up on the line and then rush through it because there's not enough blockers, and you try to rush the quarterback so you can sack him. Hopefully it can't get a pass off. This is what we're going to be doing. A blitzkrieg, even for World War II fanatics, right? Same thing, same concept. They just came rolling in fast in numbers, and it was just overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It's what they wanted to do with drones, the drone warfare. But we've kind of gotten smart. We've watched what's happened in Ukraine. We've lots of intelligence now. We're like, all right, we get the problem. They're going to have these little crazy store-bought ones. China, all the drones that China has in this country, like whenever they're flown, they might just go off and do whatever they want. So lots happening. So the funding part is coming, and the timing of it's going to be beautiful. Keep in mind, a couple months. It's important because these are markers that we are going to live through some sort of crazier thing maybe in a couple months.
We're going to look at the facts that exist. We're not going to try to make up facts that don't so we can serve a political narrative. And wait till you, and I know you know this, but wait till you see what's coming in the next month or two on the funding streams related to this. You and I had launched a serious investigation. We had said these organizations don't operate alone, don't operate in silence. They operate with a heavy, heavy stream of funding. And we started looking into it, and guess what, Dan? We found them.
Director, your thoughts on this? I covered earlier in this show.
We found him. Sounds like a pretty strong statement to me. I don't know about you guys. Here's Senator Kennedy, kind of reminding everybody, setting the field, right? Leveling the playing field, if you will, and letting everybody know. Here's how we're going to carry ourselves going forward. Essentially, check it out. It's pretty good.
You have the right to protest, but not violently. Because you know what? Two reasons. Violence undermines the morality that you say your movement is built upon. Dr. King knew that. That's why he wanted nonviolent protest. Gandhi knew that. President Mandela knew that in South Africa. Violence undermines the morality that you say your movement is built on. Now, there's a second reason that you can't protest violently. It's against the law. And it's bone deep, down to the marrow, stupid. If you act like a butthead with a cop or an ICE officer, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well. Here's a little tip. It's free. Cops will leave you alone unless you do illegal stuff. And that's what this debate is all about.
And any of you that in the audience said just the tip after he said, here's a tip, you won the jackpot. Good for you. Good for you. Well done. Yeah, craziness going on, right? And he's leveling the playing field. This isn't going to be acceptable anymore. Most people are against it. And you can disagree, but you can't do crazy stuff. You can't take over buildings. You can't do what they're doing. Rhode Island hockey rink shooting. Latest, of course, he was tied to the transgender stuff. But yeah, he was like her kid. I think one of the surviving children that was there. Just like my dad was a nut. Like he had mental and emotional issues. So yeah, the dude was crazy. I think we had pictures of him, but I don't need it. Yeah. Again, the drugs that these transgender people are on seem to be causing problems. I do know it tends to, it happens both ways, but it's generally a testosterone-y thing, I feel like. That's very guys kill people. That's how that works. It's generally speaking, women don't kill. It's very rare for women to kill. It's a new world now, of course. You got women taking testosterone, doing crazy shit, but normally, back in the day. World Economic Forum's now getting rocked by the old Epstein thing. I love how everyone's playing it off. I actually watched it. I'm not playing it because I can't stand her, and it's just stupid because they end up trying to, Trump's in there 38,000 times. I don't think Trump's in there 38,000 times. I don't know what the hell Joy Behar was saying, but Whoopi was in there, and the thing they were talking about was how just being in there doesn't necessarily make you guilty. Okay. Okay. And it doesn't, by the way. But Whoopi, come on. Yeah, but the WEF is getting rocked. This dude, the CEO, he's facing investigations over his ties. This is not going to go well. And his name's like Borg Brendy or some stupid thing like that. Some gay-ass name. No offense to Borgs that are out there across the land. New Mexico launches probe into what happened at Epstein's Zorro Ranch. Zorro, the Keyblade. Hey! I don't even know which Zorro showed up at this. That's the only Zorro movie I ever watched, by the way. There's that the Zorro the Gay. There's like two of them. 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits a peso, all for Zorro. Stand up and say so. Whatever movie that was, it was forever ago. It was 80 something around there. Stupid ass movie. I don't even remember who was in it. It was great though. I was young and impressionable. Yeah, they're gonna look into this. I don't know. People supposedly 2 bodies, 2 women, girls are buried there. They've never had an investigation. FBI's never had an investigation into this giant-ass ranch that's out in New Mexico. They always focus on the 7-story residence in New York. You realize that thing was 7 stories that he lived in? His house was 7 stories? Can you imagine that? I thought about it. I'm like, you literally take an elevator in your house. Which I've heard of houses that have elevators, but I walk up and down the stairs like a normal human being. 7 stories. How does that even work? Anyway, that's the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Yeah, of course, apparently. The leader of the Democrat Party, folks, here she is, all of her glory. Woohoo! I say, I love her. She's so smart. She says things I think too.
Who Maduro was as a leader, he canceled elections. He was an anti-democratic leader. That doesn't mean that we can kidnap a head of state and engage in acts of war just because the nation is below the equator.
What?
My favorite part was when he said that American cowboys came from Spain.
I thought they came from Winnetou, but
I believe the Mexicans and descendants of African enslaved peoples would like to have a word.
Some people are really fucking stupid.
The horses was me, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, there are a lot of discussions that horses came from Spain, but I recently heard a gentleman that seemed to be kind of an expert on horses and how they could help stop brush fires. He was on Nino's show. I saw him. I don't know what his name is, and I apologize. Just every once in a while, there's some very cool people on there. He made it sound like horses kind of existed here, like there's an American breed that already existed, but we give credit to Spain. Nonetheless, likely Spain brought in maybe their horses. I mean, there's an Arabian version, I think, too, wasn't there? Whatever the case is, I don't know. But generally, Spain has been given credit for horses. Here's J.D. Vance talking about Ocasio-Cortez.
Well, I think it's a person who doesn't know what she actually thinks. And I've seen this way too much in Washington with politicians where they are given lines, and when you ask them to go outside the lines they were given, they completely fall apart because, look, does anybody really believe that AOC has very thoughtful ideas about the global world order or about what the United States should do with our policy in Asia or our policy in Europe? No, this is a person who is mouthing the slogans that somebody else gave her. And it
I guess
shows
no one gave her one for that one.
I guess not. And it shows how thin the Democrats' policy actually is on all these very, very important questions. Look, that was embarrassing. If I had given that answer, I would say, you know what? Maybe I ought to go read a book about China and Taiwan before I go out on the world stage again. I hope that Congresswoman Cortez has the same humility. I'm skeptical.
Or at least listen to a book on tape or CD or DVD or stream it or however you do it nowadays, right? Your choose listening app here. Justice Department, they got some new subpoenas issued in an inquiry down in Florida. Grand jury happening around Brennan. Isn't that him, right? Make sure I got his name right. Yeah, John Brennan. They're going after him again, something else. His lawyers are like, I don't know what it is. They didn't make it. Trying to make him sound like he's not a problem. This dude's so going down. I can't wait. Elections, the Russia thing, which I think this is what the expectation is this is around the January 2017 intelligence community stuff. Again, we'll see. All this is coming out. Think timing. So again, there's some good stuff on the moves. Pete Hegseth did something pretty cool. Forces out top Driscoll advisor. This is interesting. So the Army Secretary, Dan Driscoll, he was in line for promotion, was held up by the Pentagon chief at the time being anyways. Come to find out, I'm guessing, after an investigation, his top spokesperson, Driscoll, his name's General Mark, Driscoll directed, where is he? The name of the person, there it is. negotiating to remove Colonel David Butler. He was Driscoll's spokesperson. Colonel David Butler. This is significant because you don't force somebody into retirement unless they've done something bad. You either quit and retire, or we'll have this come out. He's probably the leak, or one of the leaks. One of the last leaks. This is a big deal. Whoever this guy was, he was doing something he shouldn't have. They waited until Driscoll was out of country, and I think the spokesperson was probably still here, and they pulled him. So that is a very interesting maneuver. And like I said, it's got to be a leak. It's got to be something. It can't be criminal, like classified, because they would have totally maimed him on that. But like, yeah, you're doing this and that. We now know for sure you're leaking information to such and such, and that's where it's ending up everywhere else. You're out. We warned you. You signed right here. Maybe they even did a lie detector on him, right? Some fun stuff, New York. Their Fed's tariff math doesn't add up, the New York Fed, right? Their tariffs. They're trying to blame everybody and say that all the consumers are paying the difference. Now, they pointed out a neat statistic. I don't really want to waste a bunch of time with all the crap that's in this article. It's true, though. We're not really paying it. But, and I can speak to this, and I think this is very interesting, and I didn't realize the number was as high as it was. So just to give small qualifier, I worked for a company that was a healthcare manufacturer. They were based in New Zealand. The way we played the game, and this is how we skirted taxes, was we sold the products here pretty high margin to hospitals. We had a bunch of stuff, and we also had a bunch of stuff to home healthcare clinics, right? People that do CPAPs and stuff like that. So what we would do is we had what's called a transfer cost, or a transfer price. That was the price that we got it from New Zealand, the manufacturer. That's what we paid. And then we sold it just barely above that. So the margins were small here in the United States. Why? Because it made our profits small in the United States, and profits are what you are taxed on. So New Zealand making gobs of money off American markets because we're all fat and need CPAPs. No offense to any of you that use them. And they're making gazillions. These are the people that are being hurt by the tariffs. So the reveal that makes the 90% claim buckle, and this is what they're claiming, 90% of the costs are paid for by you and I, the consumer. It's not true. About half of U.S. imports are related party transactions, shipments between firms under common ownership. The Census Bureau puts related party imports for consumption at 49.5% in 2024. Half the price data, in other words, comes from transactions where buyer and seller are part of the same corporate family. So think of parts for cars, think of all that stuff. These are sometimes owned by the same companies or same umbrellas. And like I said, literally a manufacturer in another country. 49.5%. That's who the tariffs are screwing. Yeah, maybe on a few products, avocados, some stuff. Yeah, especially produce. Produce is kind of a direct, too. There's not a whole lot of middlemaning. Produce, a little, but not a lot. Average tax refund supposedly jumped about 11%. There's some discussions in here about certain categories of people were held back until February 13th or something like that. It had to do with the PATH Act, which requires the IRS to hold tax returns from filers who claimed the earned income tax credit or the additional child tax credit. People using those might have had a little extra verification, especially the additional child. It's like, oh, you claim you have an extra child. What is that exactly? And so maybe there was some additional documentation that was expected, or they could change and modify their filing. Because again, if it's not true, you can get in trouble for that. We'll see. Again, Secretary Turner is saying slash regulations to create more housing supply, lower interest rates for a more affordable mortgage. This is how they're going to help the affordability problem that is existing here in the United States. Not Mom Donnie's way, but here is what J.D. Vance and, well, Trump, of course, are doing to help us.
The president's actually articulated a number of ways to make housing more affordable, especially for young Americans who want to start a family, want to raise that family in a house that they own. I think that's a critical part of the American dream. One of the president's proposals he came out with just a couple of weeks ago, actually, was to stop institutional institutional investors from buying homes that should go to American families and to American citizens. That's going to make housing more affordable. But the president has also driven home the most important thing that we can do to make housing more affordable is to actually lower interest rates. Right now, because of the Federal Reserve, we have interest rates that are still way too high, even though inflation has come down. Frankly, it's come down faster than people thought it would under the Trump administration, and yet the Federal Reserve is keeping interest rates stubbornly high. That means if you go and apply for a mortgage, you're paying much more for that mortgage than you should. So we're going to make it easier to build and create homes. We're going to make it easier for Americans rather than Wall Street to buy those homes. But we also need to get interest rates lower. That's a critical part of the president's agenda.
And many wonder, or at least me wonder, I think many, how that impacts with the Fed. I think most of us that are like Q in any way, shape, or form, are people that just kind of understand the bigger picture. Like, we know the Federal Reserve's got to go. The IRS got to go. These are not actual they're corporations. They're not actually part of the federal government. They aren't. People will be like, well, that's not true. Yeah, it is. Go look it up. It's actually, they're licensed out of Puerto Rico. That's where they exist. The IRS and the Federal Reserve are both private corporations owned by the uber elite of the world. And that is who we owe our debt to, at least a large amount of it. Because we remember, the way they play the game is, say you've got debts from other countries you somehow owe, just make easy numbers, $1 trillion to all the countries around the world. United States is like, all right, I need to issue $1 trillion of money. They don't pay from the Treasury. They pay from the Fed. And then the Treasury's got to borrow the amount the Fed just paid from the Fed, except they get about a 2% tag on top their fee. Everything's got to be paid through the Fed, then we have to borrow it back from them. And that's absurd. It's a system guaranteed no matter what, all of our debt is paid by them, and thusly they get 2% of all of our debt. Just to do something we can do ourselves. This is a process that's been long in the making, but certainly been difficult to get to. All right, where are we at? Gold, silver up today again. Gold back up over 5,000. Silver up over 77 right now. It's up a bunch today, $3. But again, guys, I'm just telling you right now is the time to buy if you can. Spot price is where it's at, and a lot of people will sell it above spot anyways. I guarantee you. They'll sell it above spot. They'll be like, yeah, I know spot's that, but it's going to actually go way up. So it's $90 or $100. You'll be lucky to get it anywhere near 77. Try if you can. Shoot, if you can get your hands on it, get it. I want you to go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. A couple cool things going on. If you're a cash customer, what you really want to do, you want to go there and check it out and get some gold and silver. You're going to get up to 10% free gold or silver. You're going to get free storage on their site if you want, if you're nervous about it. Safely storing precious metals is something to be concerned about. Second Amendment people have less concern, but still, don't talk about it. Don't ever tell people, hey, look what I got. Don't ever do that. And you'll be a lot better off for it. Egos will kill people, that's for sure. So they'll also send you a safe, free, that you can put it in at your house. And then you're like, hey, if I have fire, if something happens, at least they can't get to it easy. They need to know a combo. The safe is extraordinarily heavy. So it's hard to steal, especially if you got a bunch of stuff in it. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. If you're a cash person, you want to take advantage of this deal. Again, it's not like, $100. I think there's thousands of dollars, like probably 25 grand limit or start minimum. Maybe a little, I don't know. It's around there. If you're thousands of dollars and you're looking to protect that buying power, it's a good idea. If you're a 401k or an IRA, tax-free, penalty-free. Again, that money's pre-tax, so if they give it to you in any way, shape, or form, if you even get to touch it for a second, it's paid out. So you don't want to do that. That actually costs you a lot of money. And some of that just goes to, I don't even know who gets the penalties. Probably the Treasury or something stupid, but that's not cool, whoever the case is. This allows you tax-free, penalty-free sideways, to move it sideways, and they help you through every step of the way. They then turn that into precious metals. Right now, while the prices are low, they got multiple suppliers, you'll probably get very good rates, or at least the best that we can. You're going to want to go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. My good friends at Goldco are fantastic at this process. And so they are going to help you through it. They're going to help you transition this step by step. And then you've got it put into a trust, physical metals. Now, at some point, if you want those metals paid out to you in metals, they can do exactly that. Exactly that. That's a payout, and you're going to get taxed on it. You might have to figure out a way to pay that somehow, but they can send you the money. The metals. It's literal physical metals, yours. drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com, up to 10% free silver. It's awesome. Awesome deal. Get out of that 401k, or at least protect a bunch of that wealth out of that 401k, and you'll be amazed at what you're going to be able to do with that wealth later. drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system while you can. That is for dang sure. FDA, they're reversing their rejection of Moderna. Apparently, Moderna refiled their paperwork, and it sounds like they were trying to lump all age groups into the process, and the FDA's like, nope. So they came back, and they're like, all right, we're going to split it up. We're going to divide its applications by age, seeking traditional approval for individuals aged 50 to 64, and accelerated approval for those 65 and older, rather than just a swath of it's safe for all ages. So FDA is actually doing the proper stuff, it sounds like. All right, a little bit going on with Don Rowe. I was expecting more stories, to be honest with you. We're finding out Canada. I got 2 stories on Canada here, and it's a little interesting. First off, they're blowing nearly $1 billion a year on migrant health care. $1 billion a year. The $100 billion we were giving them for, I forget what it was, the US aid or whatever the hell it was. $100 billion we were giving them. They're freaking out. We're not going to be able to live without it. You guys are wasting $1 billion on illegals. Giving them health care coverage that you don't even give your own citizens. Oh, it's going to get crazy. Canada's going out of their minds. Canada, England, and France right now are just really, really hardcore right now. Distraught family blasts Canada for euthanizing their son. He was a 26-year-old. You know, they got that thing where you can just, have people killed off, euthanasia or whatever. 26-year-old. He suffered from seasonal depression. Tended to get depressed during the summer, probably because of lack of vitamin D and stuff like that. They're like, oh, you want to kill yourself? Sure. Yeah, we'll help you do that. And they did. They let him kill himself. He was 26. And this is what the left has done with their messaging. They've made people so upset with the way the world is right now that they don't even want to live. It's going to be really weird to see how people on the super progressive side, how this plays out. Because many are going to off themselves. Many are going to death by suicide or death by a cop or whatever. Many are just going to pop in some weird way and just off themselves locally. It's going to be weird. It's going to be very weird. Trump's threatening Iraq with crippling sanctions if Maliki is elected to a 3rd term. Sounds like they're planning on cheating. He's like, if this dude gets in one more time, and this is supposedly this Iraq's coordination framework, the CF. I guess that's their government we helped put in place. They've got a prime minister that's screwing everything up, and he's too in bed with Iran. And basically the United States is like, look, if this dude wins again or is chosen again, yeah, we're going to sanction the shit out of you guys. You guys are going to be just destroyed. So let's find a new leader, shall we? I bet they have someone in mind, too. Vatican says it's not going to participate in Trump's Board of Peace. I find this very interesting on this Ash Wednesday. Again, happy Ash Wednesday to any of you that care. The beginning of Lent, the Lenten season, 40 days that Jesus wandered in the desert and was tempted by that wicked, let's try wicked, devil. Yes, bastard. Vatican says it's not going to participate, which is funny because it cost $1 billion to get on the Board of Peace. Vatican obviously doesn't want to give $1 billion for peace, doesn't have $1 billion for peace. Interesting. Vatican's one of the wealthiest, smallest little countries. Well, it's the smallest country in the world. Wealthiest country, I think, per capita by far. Yeah. You try to get immigration into the Vatican. See how that goes. And by the way, the Swiss Guard, they're in Italy, by the way. The Vatican's in Italy, which I think it's kind of like Washington, D.C. It's like its own little section. And Vatican probably owns D.C., probably owns that London City or City of London, or City of London, I think is what they call it. I always get beat up on when I say I'm so retarded on that stupid little section of London. The City of London, to me, represents the larger City of London, but they're like, no, that's actually the small City of London. So I guess it was probably done to be confusing, especially to people like us. Well, me, at least. I speak for myself in this case. It's like, it's a city within the city, you're saying. And no, it's the City of London. Yeah, but isn't the City of London the London? Yes. Okay. No, but the City of London's different. What? Fuck, that's like adding extra fucking silent letters. Why do you do that, England? Anyways, the city within the city is the City of London. I know, you might not have known that. EU's got some crazy shit going on, of course. Duh. White House voices strong support for Hungary's Orban ahead of the elections. So, yeah, we're going to push for this dude all the way across the board. EU hates this dude. They hate Orban. And we're not going to let them cheat, I think is partially what we're saying. So Orban hopefully wins. I'm going to put fingers crossed because I'm not going to assume anything until it happens. A lot of stuff I see coming, but I'll believe it when I actually see it. Then it's like, okay, that's Hillary's actually now no longer alive. Okay, I could see it now, right? Kremlin mocks European illusions for wanting own nuclear umbrella. This is pretty funny because England specifically, Europe's like, no, England's got us. They'll protect us. They got nukes. England's waiting on our the stealth fighters, the 35. F-35s, because they're able to be armed with nuclear weapons that they don't currently have. They're our weapons. We would just have a platform that could hold them and fire them if we so allowed. But they don't have them yet. So everybody's like, England will take care of us. Huh, okay. Well, what's kind of funny is Mark Rutte actually talks about that, and he, chuckles. It makes him laugh.
My relationship with the president, hey, listen, if somebody is doing good stuff, and President Trump is doing a lot of good stuff, I believe. I know I'm irritating a lot of you again, but I think so. Because, as I said also in Davos, the 2% reached by all NATO countries now at the end of 2025 would never, ever, ever have happened without Trump. Do you really think that Spain and Italy and Belgium and Canada would have decided to move from 1.5 to 2%? Italy spending 10 billion more now on defense at the beginning of the year without President Trump? No way, it would not have happened. And do you really think that in The Hague we would have come to the 5% commitment without President Trump? No way. So when President Trump is doing good stuff, I will praise him. And I don't mind him publishing text messages. And if anyone thinks here, again, that the European Union or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming. You can't. We can't. We need each other. And why do we need each other? I tell you. First of all, because also the US needs NATO. For the US to stay safe, and by the way, Arctic region is evidence here, they need a secure Arctic, they need a secure Euro-Atlantic, and they also need a secure Europe. So the US has every interest in NATO as much as Canada and the European NATO allies. But for Europe, if you really want to go it alone, and those of you who are planning for that, forget that you can ever get there with 5%. It will be 10%. You have to build up your own nuclear capability. That costs billions and billions of euros. You will lose then, in that scenario, you would lose the ultimate guarantor of our freedom, which is the US nuclear umbrella. Good luck.
Yeah, he's like, there's no chance in hell that you're able to live in a world where Europe is actually taking care of itself without the help of US. And the US is like, go for it. I triple dog dare you. Right? Blow your mind, man. The Red Ryder Carbon Action 200 model range rifle? You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Yeah. Maybe not. Britain's Starmer faces double-barreled crisis of immigration effects and Epstein fallout. Yes, he's in a world of hurt right now. He's got all sorts of people that are tied to Jeffrey Epstein around him, and, well, it wouldn't surprise me that he's got his little bit of a thumb problem, right? Mr. Starmer's sitting and spinning too much, one might say. I want you guys to know, by the way, I don't know, maybe, well, now we can talk. Because YouTube, actually, they've recently, this is such a trip. And again, people that are watching me on YouTube, I love you guys. It's actually expanding over there. It's kind of interesting. But you guys actually have stuff that gets cut frequently. Either copyright with music, that happens a lot. Copyright with certain stuff, they don't like that. So they'll say it can't be seen in certain countries unless you chop it out. They've got great editing tools. I'm always happy to do that. And you watch it on any of my other platforms, you're going to see the full show that I always put out. But if you're watching it on YouTube, you're having it cut. But what's funny is the 2 back-to-back shows I did where I was super hard on Starmer, they actually found something in both of those shows, and they literally blocked it from being viewed anywhere until I dealt with those parts of the shows. And they weren't videos. They were me. So, again, I am happy to help. I don't want to offend if they block it, and this is how we're going to move forward as a platform. That's fine. That's why I recommend watching on Rumble or X or any of the other places. On BitChute is a fun one. Yeah, BitChute's a lot. Actually, BitChute's a lot of fun. For any of you guys that follow certain websites that are good at bringing videos together, go to BitChute and just search like Nino or search Wano7. You'll be shocked at what videos will pop up that generally fill the feed of some of the other sites that you go to. Replace the whole thing. Trust me, you won't ever have to go there again. You can watch it on BitChute without commercials. It's fantastic. All right, a couple last shows here. Intensifying pressure for the U.S. to reach a deal with Zelensky. Zelensky's losing his stuff at this point. He's upset. Russia's even like, dude, no, you guys have an election. We'll stop firing for the whole day, man. Don't even worry about it. And Zelensky's like, will you guys just all shut up? He's very upset with everybody right now because he's like, we're not giving up land. You can't ask me to give up land. So that's not going to happen. And everyone's like, all right, so I guess the war's going to keep going. And he's like, well, can't we do something? Give me weapons. No, we want you to just give up the land, dude. They're all Russian speakers. You hate them. You've attacked them. No. Not going to give you any help. We'll let Russia just, I guess, it sucks. I mean, Russia's losing 8,000 people a week. Who knows how many Zelensky's losing? They literally have people that are like at the place where they're drafting people. They're like, there was a story today where a dude punched the draft officer guy, whatever his name is. It's crazy. People are not happy about this. Google's warning that Chinese and Russian hackers are targeting U.S. defense companies. Again, zero hedge. Giving a story about how China's kicking our ass. Whatever. I'm sure they are. I think a lot of things have gone into effect, especially in, here's the thing, email. Dude, they should just straight up take email away from most people or have only intranet. Because if you've got any sort of exterior-facing stuff, yeah, people are going to get hosed all the time. The phishing scandals, phishing attacks are so good. I forget the way they put it when it's a very specific pond that you're fishing in where you know it's like specifically know it's Boeing that you're going after. I forget, they have a funny extra term they add to the fishing. Drawing a blank on it. Excuse me as I... There you go. Yeah. China, Russia hackers. U.S. is ramping up nuclear claims against China. China's like, no, it wasn't us. And we're like, so here's what we know. We were waiting for them to say that. They basically have seismic evidence. It happened on a day. They got that nailed down. They got the size of it as a 2.75 magnitude, which China thought they were going to get away with it because it's so small. But its epicenter was right at the nuclear site. Weird. How weird is that? The place where you guys do all your nuclear stuff, your testing, your building, that's where that earthquake was. That was definitely an explosion. They won't show us the pictures because we'd be able to look at a lot of the earthquakes and realize that they're fake or maybe the dumb's being destroyed. But they spike immediately. There's nothing ramping up to it. You can tell. It's just easy. And then it just tapers down. That's it. There's no secondaries. There's no extra weird spikes. Like regular earthquakes, when they happen, they kind of rumble up, and there's already some noise to begin with. Like nothing's ever just calm. But when it just explodes vertical and then tapers down, yeah, it's always an explosion. Earthquakes never do that. Never. I haven't yet. Anyways, there's 0 examples of it, I'll guarantee. And any example they try to use is probably an explosion. Be like, this is one. No, it's not. They said it was. Oh, okay. Okay, they said. This is just, I don't know. I don't mean it to scare you because it will. But here's the thing you got to keep in mind. I don't know if you guys have seen iRobot. Very good movie, by the way. Very good movie. Will Smith's in it, so you can't really appreciate it anymore. You feel like he's going to slap somebody in it, but it's actually a very good movie. And the robots turn on their owners. China has gone so far in humanoid robots. Who would have been their biggest market? Us and Europe. How would China take control? Use the robot. If you've seen iRobot, this is them saying what they're going to do. What has Trump and Rubio said? Well, Trump, we're not letting any, I think, was it Vance? Or no, it's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. No Chinese robots like this, humanoid robots, will be coming into this country. 0. They will never be allowed. Why? Because they know exactly what I just said to be true. Check this out. You'll be impressed. It's kind of crazy, and this is not quite there yet. Friends and robots, right? Like this is, and there's so many people that literally are trying to use ChatGPT and stuff like that as a friend because it's good at that. It's good at linguistics, and there's people that do it. I've said this before, I'll say it again, just bringing it up. Kurt Cobain's death declared a homicide by Seattle cop ordered to probe investigation. They said they botched the investigation. Sounds like he's saying they even made it look like it was a suicide when in fact it wasn't. Now, was that, what's her face? I forget her name. Why do I keep forgetting her name? I don't know. His girlfriend's name was the one that I think they feel had a large role in it, but maybe she had somebody come and do it for her, all said. RoboCop star Tom Noonan, dead at 74, unfortunately. The dude that played RoboCop is dead. Well, it played basically, the bottom half. I think it's chin. I am robot guy. Why don't I have a picture of him in the stupid... There it is, right? We saw that much of his face. Thank God your face is so recognizable. Your mouth is so pretty. Whatever they say it, my friends. I'm telling you, it's crazy out there. And there's the rumors on the streets. It's happening, though. We're changing things. It's happening quickly, and I think we're making the difference. I keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. Hey, oh, by the way, for you guys, if you're this far in it, you're a strong chance. You're one of my $5 peoples on Saturday. Saturday, we're going to be doing our show, or not show, apologize, but hangout, the meeting, the Zoom. So a bunch of you guys are going to get invites. Hopefully you can join. I look forward to it. 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern. Probably start early, and I'll probably end a little late like I usually do. But come hang out if you guys want. Just have to have an active $5 a month subscription at onthefringe.locals.com. I'm able to run a report through there. It's the only way I can actually tell what kind of money. So I apologize, but it's a $5 active donation, meaning it's subscription. And if you want it, you can cancel anytime. But if you want to be a part of it, make sure you're in there, $5 a month, on thefringe.locals.com. Not doing it for the money. It's just to keep people out that, frankly, probably just cause problems, right? So let's make it harder for them. All that said, I love you guys. We're going to keep fighting the fight. Got my Law of One show coming up tomorrow. And I was just thinking about it. I've got 10 shows total going for the Law of One. I'm going to probably take a week or 2 or 3 off and then come back with something else. We'll talk about that more later. But 10 more shows to finish up Law of One. For any of you guys that have been following the sessions and stuff, kind of crazy in the big picture. It reminds me I haven't uploaded for a while, I think, to the other platforms. Damn it. All that said. And then music show. I've got a great song-inspired music show. It is Cradle of Love by Billy Idol. I don't know, it's oddly strange with all the pedophile talk that's been going on these days. It just seemed like a interesting song. All said, I got a really big group of music and stuff that's pretty cool. That's she's not around that topic, by the way, but just that genre, that age, that era. It's fun. It's going to be fun, upbeat, fun music, and hopefully you'll join us on that as well. 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Same as Thursday for Live One. Same times. Same bat time, same bat channel, just different bat days. I love that's coming up. I love you guys. We're certainly doing this together, and I couldn't do it without you. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.